This is Ready Set Reiki, a podcast about Reiki and all energy work, from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready Set Reiki journey, I refer to myself as a guide. So I'm Tracy Seawright, and this is Ready Set Reiki. Hello, Reiki family, Reiki blessings. Welcome, one and all. It is another journey together for Ready, Set, Reiki. I want to remind you to check out the Reiki News Magazine, the fall edition. Some amazing and wonderful articles are in there, including the updated information that is going on that was discovered by Justin B. Stein regarding Azui Sensei's resume. So today, super excited. I have wanted this guest to come on for some time. She's super busy. She's amazing. As you listen to her guidance, her wisdom, her support, let me introduce Karen Harris. Now, she is a senior licensed Reiki master teacher with the International Center of Reiki Training, ICRT. You probably heard me mention this many times. Co-director of the ICRT Reiki Master Teacher Training Program, and she teaches all levels of Azui Holy Fire Reiki, including the Holy Fire Karuna Reiki. And she began studying Reiki in 1993 and has studied with several ICR teachers along with several Japanese Reiki masters. So let's give a warm Ready, Set, Reiki welcome to Karen Harris. Hello.
Hi.
Well,
good to be here.
Wonderful. So can't wait to start this journey with you. So much knowledge beginning in 1993 where you started your journey. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am a single mom. I have a daughter who's 31. I adopted her from China, and I built my dream house with Reiki a couple of years ago. So I am living at Lake Winnebago, Missouri, in a beautiful lakefront property. I teach my classes here. I have my home office here. And then I also have an office in town in Kansas City, Missouri, where I see clients a couple of days a week. Oops, you're still muted.
Very good. So we're here to talk about the energy, the Reiki energy. So when did Reiki come into your life? Would you say that you found Reiki or Reiki found you?
Well, definitely Reiki found me. My younger sister was introduced to Reiki, I think back in the early 90s, maybe late 80s. And she was talking to me about it a lot and saying that I should learn it. And I put her off. I was in grad school. I'm also a licensed marriage and family therapist and a licensed professional counselor. However, I've retired from seeing counseling clients for now. I just take everyone in as a Reiki client, and I use my counseling tools in my Reiki sessions. So anyway, she was talking to me about it, and finally I said, okay, I'll learn it. And I had Reiki 1 with her. It was a 2-hour class. I didn't learn a whole lot. I didn't feel a whole lot. I think I was a little numb after coming out of an abusive marriage. So I might not have used it, other than she kept saying whenever I had a problem, well, did you try Reiki on that? Did you try Reiki on that? And so finally, a couple of years later, I thought, well, I'll go on and take Reiki too. I was starting to see some benefits from it. And I took Reiki 2 with her master, as she requested, and then practiced at that level for a while, and then thought, well, maybe I'll go on to take Reiki Master. But her Reiki Master said, well, the fee is $10,000, but I'll give you a discount. You'll only have to pay $5,000. And then the other $5,000 is going to go to the earth every day. You'll have to send Reiki to the earth every day for the rest of your life. And I thought, well, that's really a lot of money, and I think I'll just wait. So then I was in a bookstore and I found William Rand's book, Reiki Healing Touch, and found out about the International Center for Reiki Training, got in touch with them, and met Laurel Shanti Guy, I saw that she was going to teach a class in Kansas City. She had used a pendulum over a map to ask where she should go teach, and she got Kansas City. At that point, I think she was living in like Louisville, Kentucky. So I contacted her and said, you know, hey, I'm interested in your class. She said, well, I'm from out of town. Can you find me a place to have the class? So I did that and then began my journey with the International Center and retook all my classes and applied to be a licensed teacher. So I've been a licensed teacher since, I don't know, around 2002. Very long time.
Beautiful. And so, in addition to those teachers and ICRT teachers, you've also studied with other master teachers. Would you want to share about those experiences or something that stood out with those Japanese Reiki master teachers?
Sure. Well, in 2002, I went to Japan with William Brand. He had organized a trip, and we studied with Mrs. Yamaguchi. She was a student of Dr. Hayashi. She learned Reiki when she was 17 and had been practicing all these years. So she worked with her son, Tadao Yamaguchi. And the translator in that class was Yakutin Inamoto, who was also one of her students. And he is also a Buddhist monk. He was, you know, just very personable. So that was really interesting. And it was interesting to see how in Japan they have a lot of ritual, a lot of repetition. You know, it was 5 half-day classes, and then we would go to Mount Karama most of the afternoon. So that was a real treat to get to spend time there. And, you know, it was just an amazing experience. And then later that year, I went to a Usui Reiki conference in Toronto, where Hiroshi Doi was teaching along with Yakutin Inamoto. His lineage of Reiki is called Komyo Reiki. So I studied Reiki Master with both of them there. And, you know, I had Reiki 1 and 2 with Mrs. Yamaguchi in Japan.
Beautiful. I love that. So you've been doing this work since 1993. As you've been going along this journey and lots of shifting and changing, especially with our world and our energy, what are you finding are some misconceptions about Reiki?
Well, plenty of them. And last night I recorded a Reiki Myths podcast with Munakai Mohammed, and this was part 2 where we were discussing, you know, misperceptions. I mean, there's so many of them. I now have a list of like 29 and and counting. But, you know, one of the main ones that I've been encountering lately is people think that Reiki only works hands-on. And, you know, I have a fair number of clients who I work with at a distance, but I am in the Midwest. And so it's the show me state, Missouri. And, you know, people want the hands-on. So, you know, that's a little harder one to get past. And then, you know, there's the religious things like, you know, if I'm this religion or that religion, you know, maybe I shouldn't practice Reiki. Or, you know, maybe my religious leader is saying, you know, I shouldn't. Well, you know, that's for every person to listen to their religious leader and their own guidance and decide for themselves. You know, Reiki is for those who are led to it. And we're not here to evangelize or try and convince people to receive Reiki or take Reiki training, you know, unless they want to and they feel that that is their guidance. You know, so Reiki is, you know, working with healing energy for health, wellness, you know, physical, mental. It can increase your spiritual connection. And if people, you know, tell you otherwise, then that's what I would classify as a Reiki myth.
Right. And it's so interesting that you have certain people, it's like a hard no for distance. They have to have the physical in person. But kind of think about it. Well, stop using your cell phone and trusting the cell tower. Let's just go back to a landline, right? So,
Mhm.
you know, just trust the process. And I too also get the religion as well. They just have that idea that there's something tethered to it, that it has to be some type of dogma or some type of religion. But that seems to be a common one as well that I've encountered. But 29, isn't that something?
Yeah, well, and there's more. I just don't have them all down. And my listeners on my podcast last night were bringing up more. So,
Right. And I'm sure it's going to be forever growing.
uh, yeah.
So, as a therapist, as a Reiki master teacher, you are there helping and serving others and helping them through their challenges and difficulties. But what has been something that has been a challenge for you in your own journey?
In my own journey, okay, like the biggest challenge that I've faced as a Reiki practitioner.
It could be. It can be something along your healing journey or your Reiki path, or maybe even your profession as a Reiki teacher.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, one of the things that I worked with is how to combine Reiki and counseling. Since my first career was licensed professional counselor and licensed marriage and family therapist, so I wanted to make sure that I did that ethically and safely. And, I ended up writing an article, Reiki for Mental Health Professionals, Part 1 and Part 2, that was published in the Reiki News magazine and is now on my website at KarenHarrison.net under Reiki and then Reiki articles. So I looked into all of that and, found ways that I could incorporate it, putting it onto my informed consent and letting people choose whether or not to receive Reiki, and, doing Reiki hands off and doing guided meditations and so forth, and giving people a choice whether they wanted to come in as a counseling client or a Reiki client. Because then I had a rule that, for 2 years after they ended their treatment, they couldn't switch, to the other modality. And I just wanted to be as safe as possible, because I was also at that time supervising a lot of therapists for their licensure. And I wanted to make sure that I held myself to the highest ethical standards, because I wanted them to also hold themselves to the highest ethical standards, because they were working under my license. So that has always worked well. I haven't had any problems with that. And now in my, partial retirement years here, I have, just decided to take everyone in as a Reiki client, because I found that Reiki actually works quicker than my counseling tools for some things like trauma, and it works wonderfully in conjunction with counseling for, depression and anxiety. And there's some people that have already done all the counseling and they want to try something else. They still realize that there's this residual left, and I call it the issues in your tissues. Okay, so Reiki goes in and does like a deep cleaning to help clean out, the residual that is left. And, that's been really wonderful. So I love working on trauma, and I've written a lot of articles about that. And they're on my website, like Reiki for Life Challenges and Difficulties, and Transforming Emotions with Reiki, and more.
Beautiful. And I love the ethical standards. That's why I resonate so much with the International Center of Reiki Training, because as you go out and navigate through Reiki, there's not too many that have the standards of the ethical and how to move forward. Many practitioners here where I am, when you're coming in for a session, there's no form. There's no going over different things, so I love that you have that standard of excellence. So it's not necessarily even raising a bar, it's setting the bar. Here it is. This is what we expect and how to move forward. So as you have this wonderful and amazing journey of, being the co-director of the ICRT Master Teacher Training Program, what are some qualities that you look for in a Reiki practitioner or a Reiki Master Teacher?
Well, back to ethics, ethics, and are they walking their talk? Are they embodying Reiki? Are they doing their own self-practice regularly? Are they receiving a Reiki session, on a regular basis? I would hope that Reiki practitioners would receive Reiki from someone else at least once a month and, do your regular Reiki practice and work to solve, your own problems and issues with Reiki. That's always my goal, that whenever I become aware of an issue, I kind of like to think of things on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the biggest charge and 0 being no charge. And any issues of mine that have a charge more than a 2, then I want to do some Reiki work on them. I've developed a technique that I call timeline therapy. And I just work on the whole timeline of the challenge of the event and the challenging emotion. So I'll do that work on myself. I'll go to others to get help with it, to work on clearing those out so that I can be a clear channel. And, that's who I would want to go to as a practitioner, somebody that is doing their own work. And, I feel that our licensed teachers are all embodying that and doing their own work. And I have a lot of respect and love for all of them.
Beautiful. So many that I've experienced, they get so excited and they get that master's, and then they're immediately wanting to go out and do all these classes, and they get so hyper focused in doing the sessions that they tend to forget about themselves, and working and doing the self Reiki and then getting treatments for themselves. It's so important to do that check-in and go to sessions and even support other Reiki practitioners as well.
Mm.
So what would you consider a red flag? You've been doing this for quite some time. And as you sit here and you look, especially at social media, things that you're seeing in the industry, what is something that would be a red flag for someone who is interested in getting a Reiki session, or they're kind of thinking about the idea of like, I'm interested in getting training? What would be like a no way, run away kind of thing for you?
So you're asking me if a student came to me and they are wanting Reiki training, what criteria would I use to turn a student down?
I would say, as you're watching others in this profession, what are some things that you would maybe think is unethical that we have to pause and think? For instance, a situation had arisen where someone was teaching in the community here that you can give Reiki without consent. I would consider that a red flag.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, that is not okay. Um, some of the things that I've seen over the years are students coming to me with a notebook that their teacher gave them, where the teacher copied pages from different Reiki books and manuals and Williams' Reiki, the Healing Touch book. So copying other people's materials in your teaching, that is a copyright violation. And, if people are copying other people's websites and social media posts, that is actually the most common ethical violation that I see out there. But, I've seen many over the years, things like, I wrote a whole article on this called Check Your Reiki Ethics Knowledge, and it's also on my website. A teacher telling their students that you can't practice in my area and you can't charge for sessions, even though, the teacher is charging. Or, down to actually the worst violation, which is a Reiki practitioner turned sound healer, turned sexuality teacher, who is telling their students that I can help you best by being sexual with you.
Oh
Okay.
my, yeah.
That is, really the worst violation that I've seen over the years. And, these things don't come up very often, but when they do, that is a big problem. So.
Right. Wow. Well, it's interesting. It made me flash back to one of my earlier classes that I learned Reiki from, and I got my teacher's manual and I was looking through it. And then it wasn't till later when I connected with the healing touch that I realized that some of those pages in that manual that my teacher gave me were from William Rand's book. And I was like, wow. So that made me think about that. Like, and at the time I didn't know any better because I wasn't aware of the Healing Touch book. I just thought it was something that the teacher put together. But now that I think about it, it was almost like a whole Xerox page in the manual.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, what advice would you give someone who's just entering this profession? You've been blessed to be mentor of teachers going through the ICRT program. What is some advice that you would give someone who's choosing to whether leave their profession or try to have both at the same time to bring Reiki into their field?
Well, definitely, I would tell a person, do not leave your profession if you need the income from the profession. I've seen that not go well. It is a big leap to go from being a Reiki practitioner to, trying to have your own business, and especially if you need to survive on the income from that. And it generally takes a good 5 years for a Reiki business or for any business to get established, as an entrepreneur. So, definitely keep your job if you need the income and start Reiki part-time. I would suggest to read Pam Allen LeBlanc's book, The Reiki Business Book. It is excellent. Deb Karpak also has a very good book that I've read. So you don't have to figure it all out for yourself. If you read the book and start working with it. Pam Allen LeBlanc also has mentoring classes that you can find out about her from her website, Reiki from the Farm. Some of our other licensed teachers also have mentoring programs that will help you to get your Reiki business going and, get the help. And almost all of our teachers will also provide individual coaching. So that's something that I do. I have individual Reiki business coaching where if someone has, questions about any of the areas of the business that we work with the ICRT, marketing, business comprehension and organization, technology, success consciousness, healing issues that arise, teaching skills, and practitioner skills. So if people have questions about any of those, they can book a Reiki business session coaching with me, and they can ask their questions, and then I will give them the individual attention and help based on their situation.
Beautiful. And I believe Colleen and Robin have the next step.
Yes, they have Next Step Reiki. That I have not taken that training. I think that's more a combination of Reiki and shamanism, but I'm not as aware of that program.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's what's great about the ICRT, that you have just a wonderful group of individuals who are all supportive of each other. There's no competition, and all of you have a certain specialty or skill. So between everyone in that group, there's someone there that can help and be of service. So I love it. So what books do you recommend?
Well, certainly Pam's Reiki business book. And for those that are scientifically minded, this Reiki and Clinical Practice by Anne Baldwin. So this is on my read list someday. I haven't gotten to it yet. Okay, Laurel Shantigaya's book on Karuna Reiki. I really like that. And then for my students, I've been recommending Mary Raposo's journal.
Oh, I love that.
To help keep their practice going. It's got a lot of really good things in here, some tracking sheets, ways to some journaling exercises, and like a Reiki tracker with activities. So I really like that. Keep people accountable. In my own practice, I like this Louise Hay book, Heal Your Body. I can look up different things. Like one of my clients came in with bladder infections. Okay. And you look and see what is likely the issue. And it says, pissed off, and then gives you some affirmations. And then I have some articles in this, Developing Your Reiki Practice,
Beautiful.
from Reiki.org on Reiki business practices, that I wrote with Colleen Benelli. So, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Basically, I recommend any book by William Lee Rand. He's written many. He is a very accessible, clear author, and I like that about him. I've read books by Walter Luback, and he is more philosophical, a little bit harder to read and understand. But William's writings are just very easy to read. So, all of his books.
Yeah, he always resonated with me. I feel like connecting with his healing touch was really life-changing, because where I studied before, there were many things that I was told. And then when I found his book, I'm like, whoa, this is completely different than what I had learned before. And I love how he has everything cited. He can back up the information with everything. It's all in one source. So you're not having to go here and there. So it really, really well done. I really felt that really changed. I really feel it's a recommendation for everyone to have the healing touch definitely in their library.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of other modalities do you do? Do you offer classes, trainings, events? You said mentorship. What do you offer?
Yes. So I teach animal Reiki, the ICRT animal Reiki, and I love the animal Reiki. The energy is so beautiful and so grounded and soothing and comforting. So I really love that. I teach all levels of Reiki, Reiki 1 and 2, the Sui Holy Fire Reiki Master. All my classes are hybrid, so I have people online and in person at the same time, so I can teach people from anywhere in the world. I also teach the Holy Fire Karuna Reiki, and then I offer the Reiki business coaching. I offer individual sessions in person and online, and I can incorporate some counseling in the sessions. So I have one gentleman that I'm working with right now who feels like he'd lost his voice, so I'm using a combination of Reiki and some of my counseling tools to help him. One of the beauties about moving out of the counseling realm into the Reiki realm is, I'm doing everything as private pay, not having to file insurance. And that was never a fun aspect of the business. So I think every practitioner prefers a private pay model more.
Right. And you also have your very own podcast once a month, right?
Oh, yes. Well, thank you. Yeah, so it's called Reiki Call, and it is the third Monday of the month. I've been doing this since 2017. So I've had many different guests on all different topics. So like last night was Reiki Myths Part 2, and I've done Reiki in hospitals, Reiki in angels, Reiki in crystals, Reiki in drumming, Reiki in bowls, healing spirit attachments. Just so many topics on there. It started off as a time when my students could ask me questions and have dedicated time, every month, and where they could send them in and I would answer them. And then after a while, I started having some guests, and I noticed that when I had guests and a specific topic, that people seem to be more interested. So I kind of went that way, and been doing this a long time.
Well, thank you for doing that. It's helping get the word out, helping with the misconceptions, getting people curious that they begin to do their own research, right, and learn about it and grow. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. I also have a Young Living essential oil business. So
Oh,
I've
beautiful.
incorporated that with my Reiki, and generally over lunch in my classes on one day, I'll offer a little bit of information about how you can combine Reiki and essential oils in your practice. And I've been working with them since 1999, so I've accumulated a fair amount of knowledge. And my customers that purchase the oils from me, I have over 100 pre-programmed classes in a texting program that they can access on demand. I roll out 2 classes a month. And, these are classes that you get like about a minute of information a day for 7 days to 2 weeks, depending on the class, on all sorts of topics like essential oils for dogs, essential oils for back to school, winter wellness, how to keep yourself healthy and well, how to deal with seasonal allergies, and Reiki or oils for emotions. So lots of different topics, and that's a nice service to offer my customers also.
Beautiful. I love that. So where can we find you? Someone's listening. They're like, this is amazing. I want to connect. She's my teacher. How do we get a hold of you?
All right. My website is KarenHarrison.net. And you can also find me on Facebook under Whole Life Center, and Instagram, Karen Harrison Reiki. I have a YouTube channel, and that you can find that under Karen Harrison Reiki. So those are the places where I am. I'm also on LinkedIn.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Reiki.org, Reiki Magazine, look for your articles, right? Your podcasts, Google you, wonderful connection. Well, that ends the first part of our journey. I'm going to guide you to the second part, which are questions from listeners and Reiki students. Now, the ICRT program, I've been blessed to have a few of the teachers on here. So the question is, can you tell me a little bit about the ICRT program? And one of the things when I talk privately to these teachers afterwards, they tell me it's life-changing, that it set their lives in a completely different and amazing direction. And how did it help you change your life?
Oh, well, it truly has been life-changing. I've received a lot of mentoring, directly from William Rand. That has been amazing. He helped me so much, because when I became a Reiki practitioner and teacher, there were a lot of teachers in Kansas City. And I thought, well, I want to be the best Reiki teacher that I can be. So having his mentoring and coaching, and the other teachers, the community of Reiki teachers where we all support and help each other. And I've studied with several of the other teachers in the ICRT, and that's been wonderful, to see the different teaching styles. We all teach the same curriculum, but we all bring our own flavor to it. So the support and helping each other is what all the teachers cite as their number one thing. And, the working with the ICRT has just helped me grow individually, personally, and professionally, so much. And it's helped me through some hard times, like the death of my son from epilepsy when he was 22, and going through a divorce that no longer, the marriage no longer was working, and was actually going to block me from my Reiki journey, because my husband was very afraid of Reiki due to his religious upbringing. And I decided that the Reiki was actually more important to me than staying in a marriage where I felt like I was in a box and couldn't be myself and couldn't expand and grow. So, Reiki and my relationships in the ICRT helped me through all that. And then over the years, I've grown into bigger and bigger leadership roles. Although I don't have an official title yet, we're working on that. I'm leading the succession planning team for the ICRT, helping with that. I'm also the assistant director of finance. So I just keep finding myself in greater and greater leadership roles. And that has been a very growing experience, learning how to do all sorts of things that I'd never done before. Like right now, I've been creating organizational charts and writing job descriptions for our directors of the ICRT. And I mean, some of the other things that I love about the ICRT is, the program that we've developed to help people go from having a Reiki practice where they've been practicing and teaching for 2 years to becoming a world-class Reiki teacher. So that's what we offer. Our program is not for the very beginning Reiki teacher. That's where Pam Allen LeBlanc's book comes in, other mentoring programs to help get you there. But once you've been a teaching Reiki master for 2 years, you know that you like it. You've been able to get some, basic things established, like your website, your social media presence. You've been able to attract, some regular clientele. That's when we take you from where you are now to being able to reach a worldwide audience and to have the Reiki career that you want. Several of our teachers are now creating Reiki retreats, either close to them, or Jules Davis is taking people to Egypt and doing Reiki things there, and to Thailand. And Kathy Milanowski has her retreat in Wisconsin, and I've been to her retreat, and it is wonderful. 3 and 4 day retreat. So, you can have the kind of Reiki business that you want, through our mentoring program, and having the support of the other teachers and the community there to help you with any knowledge gaps that you have or any challenges that arise.
Right. And even 3 of the ICR teachers were called to bring together Reiki, Kid Reiki.
Yeah. So we have Kid Reiki. We've got
Animal
Reiki. Yes.
It's
and now we've got a couple of our teachers working on healthcare Reiki.
Beautiful. Oh, yes, I saw that at the retreat. 3 years ago, I attended the retreat virtually. So every year around Labor Day, right, you have a Reiki retreat in Sedona. And I had attended the ICRT meeting. And I remember very specifically, you were in the dining hall and you had spoken that you overheard someone saying, well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can do this because it was the price. And you had gotten inspired and you had written all of this information down and you said this in a list. This is something that you pay as you learn. This is an investment in yourself. So don't look at the price. Just, this is what you're doing and you're helping educate yourself. And so that's what inspired me. And then, things happened in life and I put it to the side. And then this past August, I was able to go and be there in person and to be able to see the connections between the teachers. I mean, getting up there and they're speaking and everyone was helping. Someone would get up and here's a microphone. Let me help you adjust that. Let me help you do that. And even like before the gratitude ceremony, Colleen coming up and Chris and Donald T. McManus hugging each other. That's that kind of support. There were helpers everywhere there. And it's such a wonderful community. And what I also like about it is the variety of teachers, and then all of them have this amazing skill set, but yet everyone is in unity, of one, the ethics, two, we're not competing, we're supporting, and then all are the same price. So it's not like, okay, well, I finished your training and I'm deciding to change the numbers to angel numbers for my price. And William, Colleen, Pam, yourself could easily charge way more, but you're charging the same amount as someone who just had their certificate and they're starting their first class. So I love that, to have that consistency in price, because I have people that'll come and say, well, why should I pay you this when I can go to the community college, or I can go here and I can get it for $75? But you're really getting that quality, that education, that experience, that mentorship all within that. So that's why I love that community.
Yes, yes. And as you said, the ICRT program is a Earn While You Learn program. So I created a handout that goes over all the costs of the program and what you also earn,
Yeah.
so that it's all laid out very clear and people can look at it and, look over what you get out of the program and decide if the program is for them.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you have been working with this energy since 1993. So number 2 question is, what has surprised you about working with Reiki?
I think the quick healing of the traumas, that's what I've been so impressed with lately. I find that when people come to me with a trauma that is, complete, so to speak, like a divorce or, past abuse, something in the past versus something ongoing, like you're dealing with your partner's affair and the partner is still having an affair. If it's, over, then normally in 2 to 4, occasionally 6 sessions, I can help people clear out the trauma from that. And that is so fast. There's no way I can do that with my counseling tools. Even if people are receiving EMDR, the eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy, that is very fast. I've not been trained in that, but I did tapping with people, and I found tapping required them to be compliant and go home and do the tapping on themselves. Well, not everyone would do that. So Reiki doesn't require that. All they have to do is be willing to tell me a little bit about their trauma. And, if they're willing to release it, then the energy works very quickly to help clear that out. And that is just amazing. And it's so rewarding. And sometimes people will come in and say, oh, I'm sorry if it's too much. Well, no, it's not too much for me. I'm a counselor. I'm trained to work with this. And it's also rewarding to see the benefits that people get, from it. So I really love that part.
Beautiful. So number 3, this question comes in for someone who also is a licensed professional counselor, marriage and family therapist. And she asks, how could learning Reiki and incorporating it in my practice help my clients?
Well, in so many amazing ways. First of all, you can use Reiki to clear the energy in your room. So imagine everyone that is coming in is there because they have a life challenge, they're upset, they're depressed, they're stressed, they're anxious, and then they sit in your office and then they leave that energy in your office. And you, the therapist, are sitting in there all day stewing in that energy. And the next person comes in and they sit down in that chair, and whether consciously or not, they are now feeling the energy that was left behind. Mm-hmm. So doing some daily clearing of your office with the energy. And whenever I would have a difficult session, then I would do a quick clearing with the Reiki energy between sessions. Mm-hmm. So that's number 1. Number 2 is learning how to clear your own energy, with Kenyoku and powering up and protecting your energy field. Being able to beam Reiki with your eyes for a difficult couple sessions. What I used to do is I would take notes with one hand and then I would just send Reiki with the other hand, while I was in the session. Sometimes I would erect a Reiki symbol between me and the client if I felt their energy coming and hitting me. Many counselors are very sensitive, empathic people. Yes. And so being with other people all day long that are in pain can be very difficult and draining. So those tools to help yourself, giving yourself daily Reiki, to help yourself from not getting burnt out. I mean, Reiki really helped me as a marriage and family therapist. That's actually one of the harder kinds of counseling to do, because people come in and they're arguing with each other. And
Mhm.
the basic premise of many marriage and counseling sessions is, I'm fine if you can just fix my partner and let them know that they're wrong and I'm
Right.
right, then our marriage will be fine. Well, of course, that doesn't ever lead for a good counseling outcome. So, being able to use the energy to work with them and that dynamic. So, in summary, it's taking care of yourself. It's filling up the room with good energy. It's clearing the room. It's clearing yourself. Um, so, frankly, I don't see how therapists function without Reiki.
Sure. Yeah, it's that spiritual hygiene. And I don't know how many times I've been in situations where I've come in and this problem's happening, this problem, and I'll ask the practitioner, "Well, did you clear your space?" Oh, like they forget to clear it after clients with
Mhm.
it. But just like, you brush your teeth and you put your deodorant on so you don't smell, you need to put that shield up, right, to protect you from the energy because it carries with you, all of that people are putting on you, and clearing the space and clearing that energy. So thank you for sharing that. Well, that was our last question. And as we've been talking, is there something that you may have forgotten or something you'd like to share with the listeners?
Well, I think Reiki is a very important life tool. It helps with spirituality. It helps me to connect to the divine and have many moments of bliss and aha moments, and, feel like I've touched the intangible, because I want a spirituality that I can feel, that is real to me beyond just what I can read in a book of someone else's experience. I want to feel it. So Reiki gives me that. Um, it gives me tools to help me with my difficult emotions. When I'm depressed, anxious, upset, it's helped me with surgeries.
Mhm.
This past February, I had to have a surgery where I was awake in the office getting cut open about that far,
Mm.
and Reiki helped me with all that anxiety, and then it helped me to heal quickly. Reiki has helped me with relationships. My relationship with my brother was troubled for many years, and I used Reiki to help turn it around. And now he is my Snapchat buddy, sending me about 10 snaps a day.
I love
And
that.
that relationship was so troubled that I couldn't hardly stand to spend much time with him
Yeah.
for many years. So it's helped me in my business and in career and in attracting students to me. I've taught, I don't know, well over 1,000 students. I don't really have a number, but I've been teaching since 1998. So
Yeah.
um, a lot, a lot, a lot. And it's helped me whenever I've had challenges in classes. That doesn't happen
Right.
very often, but occasionally, you'll have a student that's got, some different needs and things. And so it helps me with that. And just, Reiki is a wonderful, important life tool where I would hope to have a Reiki practitioner in every family.
That's what I always say. I always say, always have someone who's medical, whether they're a nurse or a doctor, and then a Reiki practitioner. I think every household needs that. Yeah. I mean, it really is about being that Reiki lifestyle because you're only limited by your imagination. And that's what's great about the Reiki news magazine, because every time I get the issue, I'm like, whoa, like, wow, Reiki with a mouse, right? Right. Reiki for cleaning, like just things you wouldn't even think of. But it really is, you can use it for anything and all, right?
Yes, yes. My animal Reiki classes, I've taken them to a wildlife rehab place where we have worked on bats and possums and raccoons and owls and turtles. Uh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything from cleaning your house, right, to situations, to your business. It's endless, 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 endless. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for coming on Ready Set Reiki. I've been waiting a very long time, and I'm so excited you made time in your very busy schedule. And we can reach out to you at www.karenharris.net and
Oh,
reiki.org.
Harrison.
Very good. KarenHarrison.net. Well, thank you so much, all my wonderful listeners. If you would like your question featured on Ready Set Reiki, reach out www.readysetreiki.com. I'm Teresa C. Wright, and this has been Ready Set Reiki.